Guam has long been accepted as a beachhead for military deterrence against China, North Korea, Pacific threats, and rivals, if you will.
Hmm.
So, with Guam being the westernmost port, westernmost U.S. Piece of soil, we've accepted the fact that we are important militarily. And right now, we find ourselves in the very center of that discussion when it comes to national security affairs. How do we break the paradigm and start getting not just the federal government, but starts with the federal government and corporate America and private investors to see Guam as an economic beachhead. All of those things that you talked about before about the power of Guam being America in Asia. How do we get Guam a seat at the table so when you're negotiating trade deals out in the Pacific, when you're working with allies on economic issues and stuff, Guam is there at the table because Guam is your westernmost soil, and Guam is going to have a play in that. Guam is going to be at the very center of that. How do we start breaking paradigms so we get the federal government, corporate America, and private investors to see Guam as this economic beachhead?
So I think you're going to see more of that in this new tariff regime that President Trump unveiled. And even though it's a 90-day pause, people are going to be looking for where the opportunities lie. They're going to be looking for the little known hidden gems, right? So what you want to do is you want to polish up your hidden gem. You want to tell the business community, you want to tell the Fortune 500s that we're open for business. And what does that look like? So they're going to ask, what are your taxes? They're going to ask, what is the infrastructure? They're going to ask, how do we access your land, your services, your facilities? What kind of workforce development do you have? Who can we rely on? What kind of people do we have? So when you start putting that picture together, you start shining up this hidden gem, and you don't necessarily have to present it to everyone. All you have to do is make a smart play. So what's the smart play? The smart play is during a crisis, you find this opportunity. And this is the opportunity I see. This is the way I think the people of Guam can really shine as the hidden gem. They say, here's all the warehouse space we have, warehouse or multi-purpose space we have. Here's our plan to develop multi-purpose space. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, let's say they're, in excess of 5 million square feet. Let's just use that number today. It could be more, it could be less, but we say there's 5 million square feet available to use. And that zoning for that square footage is flexible, i.e. it could be used for high-tech manufacturing, assembly, or something else altogether. Now you marry that up with the fact that you say, I've got the square footage. You just talked about all the different solar farms that are coming online or are online. So I've got the power. And then you start saying, I got the water. And pretty soon they can make the connection. And then you say, here's our tax regime. Here's how we can incentivize you coming to the island and employing the people of Guam. So now you're building this, you're shining up your hidden gem. You don't have to tell them a lot. You just have to give them the ingredients, the canvas, if you will, that we talked about before, and make sure that canvas is known to the Fortune 500 companies. Because here's what they're doing. They're looking for ways to find innovative suppliers. They're looking for the people who can feed them low cost, high quality goods and services. They're looking for people who can establish a, a fundamental value proposition that makes them hungry for that gym, for that location. So now we can say, I've strategically built this hidden gem to be a few hours plane ride from Asia. And you are missing the boat if you don't bring some of your operation to this hidden gem so that you can leverage that short transit time. so that you can leverage a workforce that wants to engage and work. You're missing the boat if you're not seeing all this low cost power that's available to you. And you're missing the boat if you don't understand that America sits at the western part of the Pacific Ocean, right? It's not Guam anymore, it's America. And we have to be willing to sell that vision to people in the Fortune 500 companies who are looking for suppliers that can solve problems. So you might not necessarily have a Fortune 500 presence on the island, but some of those major suppliers, some of those major subcontractors, those are the people that I would target, because those are the people that don't normally get all the shine, yet those are the people that are steadily feeding the larger Fortune 500 companies. So you want to bring those subcontractors, those prime subcontractors, those prime suppliers who are looking for ways to find value propositions to keep the Fortune 500 in their good graces. And to me, that's how you shine that hidden gem. You go find those subcontractors and you tell them, you're feeding Fortune 500s. Here's a way for you to do that in a very innovative, safe, smart way. Here's a tax regime. Here's a canvas upon which you can paint all of the things that make your operation successful.